Welcome to Talking Giants player profiles and projections brought to you by Captain Morgan. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. And today, we're going to look at Eric Gray, the New York Giants' second-year running back, 24 years old, a 2023 fifth-round pick out of Oklahoma at 5'9", 207 pounds. Justin, last year, Gray didn't really play. He had 17 carries for 48 yards, 2.8 yards per carry, a 35% success rate, 6 catches for 22 yards. And he had 12 carries versus the Miami Dolphins, then 3 games where he had 1, and then 3 at the end of the year. So this is essentially like not his rookie year, but this is like the first time we'll see him, but we may also not see him. I mean, is Eric Gray just RB3 on this team and not going to get a lot of snaps? Like, I don't know what his role is, and it seems like he's never really gotten a shot. But also, there's probably good reason behind that, too.
Seems to depend on what he could do when the ball's not in his hands, which I know you're going to
we're going to talk about that.
But even Eric Gray, like, guy that has reminded us this preseason, and, you know, Bobby, you even clipped up some of the plays that he had against Miami. And then even with this PPP, I had an opportunity to just go back to my draft notes from last year and get a little excited about Eric Gray. While the rookie season was underwhelming and a little disappointing, you know, wanting him to really take that RB2 mantle and maybe pass the torch from Matt Breida to going on to Eric Gray, and knowing that we could possibly be in a Saquon Barkley-less world, which we are in right now. Certainly the Eric Gray ascension didn't start as early as it could have, but it could very well start this year, depending on if the Giants want to use a 2-headed monster at running back or a 3-headed monster. And then also, you never know about the health of the running back room he may be dependent upon. But I mean, I have some advanced stats from his draft class from last year. Do you want to go there? Do you want to start somewhere else with Eric Gray? Where do you want to go, Bobby?
Well, I just want to say, like, what the little bit that we did see from him, and you can even throw the preseason in there too. I do feel like what we saw matched his like draft write-ups that we had on him.
Absolutely.
Right? Where he put up 1,300 yards last year, his last year. Like, we talk about, like, you know, Tyrone Tracy, like, oh, you know, top yards per carry in the Big Ten. Eric Gray had more yards per carry and also had 1,400 yards, not 600 yards or whatever Tyrone Tracy had. And you saw basically the same exact player to me. It's just that the warts showed up a little more in the preseason last year, and then he really, like, never got going. But, like, you could go watch that Miami game, right? And they had a 21-yard run taken off the board due to a Ben Bredeson holding call. The stuff that I liked was the same stuff that I liked in college, right? Like, I thought he was a smart back who would consistently, you know, get the most yards available to him. One cut and go, make guys miss. And, you know, like, he showed that, right? He's not the strongest back in the world. He doesn't have that explosive play.
But he's a gritty running back, though. Very gritty.
Yeah, like, he falls forward, but he doesn't have a lot of pop behind his pads, which is the thing that I thought that, like, is the reason why he wasn't taken in the 4th or 3rd round. Not just, like, the lack of explosive plays that he can create with the speed. It's just that a guy who plays his way, you'd like him to bring a little more pop to him, and he just doesn't. He's not a pile pusher at all, but he just kind of falls forward, and he doesn't have the best contact balance in the world. He gets tackled around his legs, but he's smart. He makes the first guy miss consistently. Won't make the second guy miss, but he makes the first guy miss. And I thought you saw a little bit of that in the Miami game. I'm surprised that he didn't get more carries in the other non-Saquon Barkley games. Because, you know, I mean, he got 1.
Yeah, and I think there was a dream and an idea that he could be a return man as well in the NFL, a punt returner, and
went awfully. He also fumbled in that Miami game too, so ball security was an issue.
Yeah, oh boy, did that not work out? Did that not work out right away? But here, I want to get to some of the advanced stats from Eric Gray's running back class from 2023. So Eric Gray was the 11th running back taken in the draft in his year. Here were his rankings in key categories compared to running backs that were taken before him. Yards after contact per attempt, he was 7th. Runs of 10-plus 10-plus yards, he was third. Runs of 15-plus yards, he was tied for third. Total first downs, he was third. Missed tackles forced, he was sixth. Yards per run, he was even fourth in that category. So, I mean, those numbers, and like even though Eric Gray was the 11th running back taken in the draft that year, I did not think that Eric Gray was the 11th ranked running back of his year. And I do think all the things that you've said about making guys miss, we've even seen him make guys miss in the open field a little bit. I know he's not an explosive back, but hey, I mean, he if there's a hole, he's going to hit it, and it will be a run of 10-plus yards, and that he even has the potential to make that first guy miss in the open field. You've seen it during the preseason too. So I still think there's Eric Gray juice that's there. He runs with a little bit of juice too, but it does kind of come down to what is Eric Gray doing when the ball is not in his hands, and how much of a liability is he or is he not?
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and then we could talk about whatever's left. It's the pass blocking. That was a negative on the draft write-up on him, and Oklahoma did a good job, I guess, not putting him in those situations, because boy was it bad. And you look at what they did, and I'm actually pretty disappointed in the Giants in the preseason in the first two games, because they've only given him one pass blocking opportunity. One, which is kind of crazy for a guy that you need to see him grow. They only, in all the snaps he got last year, which isn't a lot, he only got 3 pass blocking snaps, right? There was drives in the Miami game where he'd be the back, for that drive, because they kind of split it. And then 3rd and 7 come along, they put Breida on the field to block. But the preseason last year showed ugly. I mean, he had 11 opportunities to pass block in that preseason. He gave up 1 quarterback hit and 6 pressures. I mean, that's awful. It's like you can't. We said you cannot put this guy on the field. He is not someone that you can put on the field if this is what you're getting out of him. And unfortunately, I put him at the end of the PPP schedule because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it in the preseason, and we haven't seen it. So I'm left to go off of what we've seen and consider him a bad pass blocker.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the rebuttal is, well then, Bobby, this can just be a running back that's there on early downs, but you don't want to lie. This is a passing league.
But he's also not like that great of a back where it's like, oh, well, he's going to be off the team in a year if that's what he is.
Right. If you're the third running back and, maybe you're not providing special teams value, even though that was kind of on your resume, and if you can't block, then it's a tough look. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, we've seen that.
He's a solid receiver.
Those swing passes, I mentioned that in yards per route run, I think he was 4th out of the 11th running backs in his draft class. So he can certainly catch the ball out of the backfield, but it's kind of confusing why they haven't given him more pass blocking opportunities this preseason, just to see if he can do it. Hopefully we see it against the New York Jets this weekend.
Yeah, I specifically like this is two of my things to watch for in both preseason games. We didn't get it. Yeah, so like you mentioned, he's a solid route runner, soft hands to catch the football. And again, like I do like him as a runner, right? I don't expect him to blow the world away or anything, but like he's patient to let the play develop with good vision. He influences linebackers and then cuts off of them. And again, he doesn't create negative plays. There was some negative plays last year, but it was because of awful blocking. He's not someone who creates negative plays. So again, I like him as a runner. And I was even going back to see if I clipped the Miami stuff earlier, and I was like, I really like the way Eric Gray runs. I don't love the ball security and his special teams and his blocking, which is nice, but you will be out of the league if you don't add special teams value, you're RB3 and you can't block. It's hard. So we got to see that. We got to see that for Eric Gray.
Yeah. Do you view Eric Gray as like a short yardage specialist? Like, do you view does he have like a solidified role?
No, I don't think he has the pop on his pads to do that. I'd rather just put Singletary for that. Okay.
So his role is kind of
first and
murky, right?
Yeah. It's hard to find a role for him on this team if they're going to make Tyrone Tracy Jr. their running back too, because he kind of is like a first and second down back right now.
Yeah, and I do view
unless
Tracy,
you're sending 5 out.
I view Tracy as a better receiver because he was a receiver for like 5 years.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. So
No offense, Eric Gray.
Yeah. No offense. Justin, why don't you talk to us about something?
I'll talk to you about something, and that something is Captain Morgan. Man, the PPPs are winding down. The people are getting restless, and
People have loved Unexciting Week, by the way. That's a new Talking Giants tradition. Week 5 of PPPs is Unexciting Week.
Well, you want to know how you can spice up Unexciting Week? You could spice it up with some Captain Morgan. Bang! Bang, Mike Breen. That's who says that. This episode and this PPP is brought to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum sponsor of the NFL. Captain Morgan is going to be with us all year on Talk of Giants. They're going to be with us all year on JM Football, sponsoring our fantasy football live stream that we have coming up the first week of September. The opening weekend and day live stream that we're going to have Thursday night, and then also Sunday live streaming on the JM Football channel. They're with us, and they're riding with us this year. So I want you to go ride with Captain Morgan too, right in the pirate ship. You know the one. When it gets bland, try Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum. It's delicious, crisp, perfect for game day with friends. Spice it up. I don't think I would like being on a pirate ship, to be honest, but I would trust Captain Morgan to get me there safely. Visit CaptainMorgan.com.
Man, screw you.
Whoa!
You would a pirate ship? You don't want to be on a pirate ship?
I think it's unstable. I think it's a play. It would be like I'm moving way too much. I wouldn't feel safe and secure. No
So
way.
when you listen to A Pirate's Life at 40 by Jimmy Buffett, just no feelings.
No.
Mother. I love Captain Morgan and I love Jimmy Buffett.
Something about a boat gives a man hope. And you can visit
Rest in
CaptainMorgan.com
peace, Jimmy.
to find a captain near you. It takes a real man to admit when it's his own damn fault. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company in New York, New York. They'll be glad you did. Did I get a laugh out of you with any of the...
We should have some Captain Morgan at the Bama Breeze. You know that Jimmy Buffett's from Mobile, Alabama?
Yeah.
And we played the Bama Breeze in the Mobile, Alabama episode the year after he died in Mobile, Alabama.
Wow.
Justin, Darius Muasau, UCLA linebacker, rookie for the New York Giants with a 6th-round pick, 6 foot, 225 pounds, 31.5-inch arms. Ran a 4.7 40, 23 years old. 5 years of playing at Hawaii and UCLA. Michael Gabriel, the Giants special teams coach, was his Hawaii coach and at the Shrine Bowl. Joan Shane mentioned that in the press conference. Last year for UCLA had 75 tackles, 4 sacks, 10.5 tackles for loss. That's pretty nice, and 1 interception. He's a linebacker who likes to get down and dirty. He'll probably have a special team role. But he's kind of like in the defensive role, he's kind of like a downhill or bust type of running linebacker.
Yeah, I think we found our new Cam Brown, which I know Cam Brown found some playing time in 2020, and him and Carter Coughlin did, but I think we have a new Cam Brown where we're gonna play linebacker in the preseason, and maybe we'll have some fun, but then we're gonna be a core special teamer. And hey, I mean, I consider Cam Brown to be a successful draft pick. I consider
Absolutely.
Carter Coughlin to be a successful draft pick, and if Muasau can live his entire rookie contract and then maybe even be like Carter Coughlin and stay here as a special teamer past that, that's a successful, day 3 late round draft pick for the New York Giants. And I will say, I mean, Bobby, very interesting to see the Hard Knocks, the board, their entire, or not their big board. We didn't get to see their big board, but we got to see the board once every player was drafted, and then the color designations that the Giants used for all those guys. A blue player like Tyler Nubin, I think they gave blue to. They definitely gave Tyler Nubin a blue designation of like leader, a guy that you want in the building, a guy that's going to work hard, smart, tough, dependable, all that stuff that the Giants like. There was not a lot of day 3 guys that they highlighted in that blue, but Darius Muasau was like one of the only day 3 picks that you saw that blue designation by. So they like him as a person too, and they like him as a worker, and that stuff is important.
Yeah, let's just talk about him as a linebacker. We don't have to spend a ton of time on Darius. he's a solid athlete, but just kind of lacks that side in the sideline area. I'll just kind of read the scouting report and we'll talk about him. Linebacker who likes to hit and will have a special team role. Solid athlete, but lacks in the sideline to sideline area. Closing burst is lacking. Strength is good with momentum. Gets bullied when O-linemen get into his chest. Processes well and gets into the right spot. Stacks O-linemen but doesn't work to shed. Works laterally while not getting to the lines of scrimmage and run fit. More of a tackle accumulator than playmaker. Hard hitter. Tackles well when wrapping up. Has a hard time closing to tackles in space. Reroutes with authority and zone coverage. Not going to be able to cover past 10 yards. Or in man coverage. Power as a blitzer versus running backs. Gets hands up in his pass rush to tip the ball. And I had him as a 7th round player, just grading him as a linebacker. Now, hey, Justin, he may not be drafted to play a lot of linebacker, but linebacker is one of those spots where you are relying on your depth, and he could find his way into a playing role, and hopefully it's next to a Bobby Okereke, right? I think if he's playing next to a Bobby Okereke, you can see some good moments and then take him off the field on 3rd down. If it's without a Bobby Okereke top type of linebacker next to him, then I think you can see a lot of issues, especially as a rookie.
Yeah, and that depth, that interior linebacker is not as plentiful as, that's a bad word, but not as plentiful as maybe fans would like to think. I think they will use Isaiah Simmons as an interior linebacker when it comes down to it. They did against the Jets during that joint practice. That's a note that I forgot to indicate during our live stream. But yeah, so we may wind up seeing Darius Muasau at linebacker. And here's some stats, Bobby. He was 45th in run stop rate and was 8th in average depth of tackle among draft eligible players. 7th highest pass coverage grade by PFF. Some saying he's very good in coverage. He was pretty good at sniffing out screens. I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
He reroutes well too, but just anything past 10 yards, you're not really asking him to do that.
He got credited with the low average depth of target, which I think explains that he was pretty good at sniffing out screens, and that's what he was doing. He was 23rd in total stops, and those are the numbers that I have. He was special teams MVP his rookie year at Hawaii.
Under Michael Gabriel.
Boom.
How about that? And he's seems like a really funny, good guy, right? He was wearing the beanie to his rookie camp press conference, saying it's cold.
That's why he was given the blue designation
from Hawaii. So Darius, there's a good chance we never do a PPP of Darius Muasau again. But there's also a chance this guy lives out his 4-year contract. He's a special teams player. When we're looking at the post-COVID preseason stats, I'm like, man, Muasau, he's challenging Carter Coughlin for the tackle record. And I hope that we get to see that, Justin.
I hope so too, Bobby Skinner.
That was a fun and unexciting week. I hope you guys enjoyed Unexciting Week, and it's going to be happening for the rest of your freaking lives. We'll see you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue.